Jets fans, welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into one of the ugliest preseason games we've seen in a while. The Giants thumped the Jets in the Snoopy Bowl by a score of 31-2, and while the final score tells a pretty grim story, the reality is a lot more layered than that. Some players absolutely flashed in a big way, while others might have just seen their hopes of sticking on this roster come crashing down. Preseason is never about wins and losses. It's about evaluations, finding out which players can make an impact when the lights are on, and who might not be cut out for the grind of a 17-game regular season. And while the Jets were humbled by their crosstown rivals, the tape actually revealed a lot of valuable takeaways. Let's start on a positive note. The winners. Braylon Allen. A force in the backfield. The first name that absolutely has to be mentioned is Braylon Allen, the second-year running back out of Wisconsin. If you didn't know who this kid was before the game, you do now. He ran with a level of juice and physicality that honestly felt like a completely different player compared to his rookie season. Last year, Allen was solid, but not spectacular. He moved the chains, showed some toughness, but he didn't feel like a home run threat. This preseason, he looks like a man possessed. Every carry feels like it could break for 20 yards. He's falling forward on contact, he's dragging defenders, and he's showing patience behind his blocks that you just didn't see as a rookie. The Jets have a crowded backfield with Breece Hall leading the way, but don't be shocked if Allen carves out a massive role this season. At the very least, he's the short yardage and goal line hammer. When it's 3rd and 2 or 4th and 1, the ball is going to know. 0, and honestly, that's the right call. This is the type of player who can extend drives, protect the defense by keeping them off the field, and completely change the energy of the offense. It wouldn't be crazy if, by the end of the season, Allen actually matches or even surpasses Hall in total carries. He looks that good right now. Brandon Stevens. Proving the critics wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. I wasn't a huge fan of the Jets giving Brandon Stevens 3 years and $36 million this offseason. It felt steep. But Stevens shut me up in this game. Matched against the Giants' starting receivers, Stevens made one of the most impressive plays of the night, breaking up a perfectly thrown corner route to Wan'Dale Robinson. His instincts, his ability to recover, and his physicality in run support all stood out. If the Jets can line him up opposite Sauce Gardner and feel confident that he can hold his own, suddenly this secondary looks even scarier. The Jets already have one of the best lockdown corners in the game. If Stevens can provide steady play across from him, quarterbacks won't have many safe options. Michael Carter, too, a slot specialist who shined. Another defensive back who deserves some love is Michael Carter, too. The guy is one of the most underrated slot corners in the NFL, and he showed exactly why against the Giants. He blew up multiple run plays, notched some impressive tackles for loss, and even came up with a clutch pass breakup. Slot corners don't always get the headlines, but in today's NFL, where teams are constantly spreading the field, having a reliable defender who can lock down the inside is priceless. Carter was sticky in coverage, aggressive against the run, and played with the kind of energy this defense desperately needed. Dean Clark, making a case for the 53-man roster. Now, let's talk about a name most Jets fans probably didn't have on their radar before this game: Dean Clark. The undrafted free agent safety put together a stat line that jumps off the page: 6 tackles, a sack, multiple pass breakups, a quarterback hit, and one of the wildest interceptions you'll see all preseason. That pick, which came off a ball that ricocheted off a helmet, showed quick reaction time and impressive awareness. But beyond the stat sheet, Clark played with confidence. The Jets' safety room has question marks, and if Clark keeps flashing like this, he may not just sneak onto the roster, he might earn a role. Quinton Skinner. The surprise at wide receiver finally, Quinton Skinner. If you're looking for the biggest winner from this game, it's him. The undrafted wideout caught 4 passes for 48 yards, including a ridiculous touchdown grab in the back of the end zone. What stood out wasn't just the catch, it was the trust the quarterback showed in him. Whether it was Brady Cook or Jarrett Martinez, both were willing to throw him contested 50 by 50 balls, knowing he had the size, athleticism, and hands to go up and make a play. With Malachi Corley buried on the depth chart and Xavier Gibson now banged up, Skinner has a very real chance to force his way onto this roster. Stories like his are why fans love preseason. So yes, the Jets lost 31-2. But don't let the score blind you to the fact that some players took major steps towards cementing their futures with this team. Of course, for every winner, there were also some losers. And if the Jets want to avoid turning preseason red flags into regular season disasters, these issues have to be addressed. Justin Fields. A work in progress. Let's start with the obvious. Justin Fields. I want to be clear here. Fields isn't a loser in the sense that the Jets should regret trading for him or panic about the future. But his performance against the Giants was a definite step back from the encouraging flashes we saw earlier. Fields looked tentative. On multiple third-down plays, he locked onto Garrett Wilson and never moved off him. That can't happen. Defenses at this level will eat you alive if you stare down your number one target. We saw the contrast perfectly in the 2 preseason games so far. Against the Packers, Fields worked through progressions, checked down when necessary, and even hit Andrew Beck for chunk plays. Against the Giants, he got stuck, forcing balls and missing opportunities. The good news? The talent is there. We saw it on a scramble where he showed off his athleticism and moved the chains. But this is going to be a process. Jets fans need to be patient. Fields' highs will be electric. His lows might be frustrating. The question is whether offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett can coach consistency into his game. Andre Cisco burned deep. One of the plays that really hurt was Andre Cisco getting roasted on a deep ball from Russell Wilson to Bo Collins. It was one of those vintage moonshots where the safety simply got turned around and couldn't recover. Cisco has the tools, but giving up back-breaking deep plays is a quick way to find yourself on the bench. The Jets can't afford that. He'll need to clean it up. One mistake like that per game is enough to change outcomes. Malachi Corley. The writing on the wall, if there's one player whose stock has cratered, it's Malachi Corley. The third-round pick from last year barely saw the field until garbage time, and when he did, he didn't make an impact. It feels like the coaching staff has already made up their mind. When you're playing in the fourth quarter of a preseason game as a second-year receiver, that's not a good sign. Add in the emergence of Quinton Skinner and Brandon Smith, and Corley looks like the odd man out. Sometimes it's not about talent. It's about fit, trust, and opportunity. Right now, Corley doesn't have any of those with this regime. Unless something drastic changes, he's a cut candidate. Quick reminder, Jets fans, if you love this kind of in-depth coverage and want to stay locked in on every move, every roster battle, and every storyline, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and ring the bell icon so you never miss an update. We're building the most passionate Jets community on YouTube, and we want you to be part of it. Losing 31-2 hurts, even if it's just preseason. But head coach Aaron Glenn put it best after the game. The NFL has a way of humbling you quickly. The Jets were flying high after pounding the Packers. A week later, they got punched in the mouth. The lesson? Consistency. You can't ride the roller coaster week to week. Preseason is about preparation, not validation. Now, let's zoom out. What do these takeaways mean for the Jets moving forward? First, the roster battles are heating up. Dean Clark, Quinton Skinner, and Braylon Allen are pushing hard for roles. Malachi Corley looks like he's on the outside looking in. These are the storylines that shape the back end of the roster and can actually swing games down the stretch of a season. Second, Justin Fields' development remains the most important storyline of all. The Jets have enough talent to be competitive. The question is whether Fields can stabilize this offense and make the throws when they matter. Preseason struggles aren't the end of the world, but they do highlight how much work is left to be done. Third, the defense looks deep. Even in a blowout, individual performances on defense show the unit has versatility, toughness, and playmakers. If the Jets can get steady quarterback play, this defense will keep them in games all year. Final thoughts, Jets fans. Here's the reality. Preseason is messy. The scoreboard doesn't matter. What matters is finding out who can play, who can't, and where the team needs to grow. Against the Giants, we learned a lot. We learned that Braylon Allen might be the hammer this offense has been missing. That Brandon Stevens and Michael Carter, too, can lock down key spots in the secondary. That Dean Clark and Quinton Skinner are hungry young players fighting their way into roster spots. We also learned that Justin Fields still has work to do. Andre Sisco can't afford costly mistakes, and Malachi Corley's time as a Jet might already be running out. The Jets took a beating on the scoreboard, but the bigger picture is still intact. This team has depth, talent, and a coaching staff that won't accept sloppy play. The regular season is coming fast, and if the Jets can clean up the details, they'll be ready to compete. As Aaron Glenn said, the NFL humbles you, but it also gives you chances to respond. Week 3 of the preseason is the next test, and the Jets have plenty to prove. So buckle up, Jets fans. This ride is just getting started. Go Jets!